Hello guys, I'm at Wolverhampton bus and coach station this afternoon, and I'm going to be taking the National Express coach all the way down to London Victoria coach station. But I've got a simple question I don't want to ask you guys. Why would anybody take the coach when you can take the train from the station, which is literally 5 minutes walk away, for at least 2 hours less journey time than it takes to do it on the coach? Well, why don't you come with me and we'll try and find an answer to that question, and I'll see you on the bus. Cheers for now. Wolverhampton bus station is, like I said, about 5 minutes away from the railway station. The National Express coach departs from Stand E, as you can see here. Total cost for today's journey to London was £13. And here comes the coach, about 50 minutes prior to its departure time, which was 13:05. Hi mate.
Check your temperature.
Yes.
Thank you. And ticket number is 582. Thank you.
Best place to sit anywhere? Or
Single seats on the left hand side of the coach.
Right, okay, cheers mate. Yeah, so after having my temperature checked by the driver, I boarded the coach and no one else turned up, so I had it all to myself at this point, and as the driver said, I chose a seat on the left hand side of the coach facing forward. And Wolverhampton was the starting point for this service, which was the X400. Now, to be honest, I don't know a lot about coaches, but I was still quite looking forward to it. And we left the bus station on time and proceeded through the Black Country towards our first stop, which would be Walsall. I took the opportunity to have a look at the seats in more detail, seeing as it was quiet. It's a 2-2 configuration on the coach, with solo passengers requested to sit in the window seat to try and help with social distancing. There was a thinnish antimacassar type thing on the back of each seat with more social distancing signage. Now, I don't know about you, but there seems to be circular signs with red lines through them everywhere you look these days, telling you not to do something or other. Legroom was okay, about the same as you would get in a small aircraft, I would say, something like an ERJ-145 maybe. One negative at this point was the lack of a seat back table, or even a drinks holder. And maybe they used to have them in the days of the jolly hostess, so that you could put your snacks and cups of tea on them. I don't know about this, but please feel free to reminisce in the comments below. Below the seat you have a plasticky footrest, which just got in the way, to be honest. A kotak was provided on the side of each seat, and I decided to hang mine where everyone could brush past it, spreading their COVID germs all over it. USB power was provided in the usual place between the seats, but why do they make them so awkward to get to? The only theory I can think of is so that you don't get crumbs in the sockets. There is a 3-pin socket located between the seats at the front, just under a little flap. And talking about crumbs, by the way, there was quite a build-up between the seats, I noticed, and it looked like it hadn't been cleaned for a while. Overhead storage space seemed okay for small rucksacks, etc. I didn't use it with the seat next to me being empty, but I liked the blue neon effect along the edges. Above each seat was an individual air vent and a reading light. I tried to connect to Wi-Fi, which National Express say is subject to daily vehicle allocation, whatever that means. Well, presumably this vehicle hadn't been allocated it today because it was a total waste of time, and I just ended up giving up in the end. Anyway, after Walsall, where about half a dozen unenthusiastic people got on, we proceeded to the exotically named Digbeth coach station in Birmingham. And what you can see here is all part of the redevelopment of Curzon Street station for the new HS2 line. Personally, I prefer the fantastically restored Birmingham Moor Street station, which is going to feature in one of my other videos, which is coming soon, by the way. We pulled in at exactly 2 o'clock and many more passengers got on, and most of the seats were now taken, and after a wait of around 10 minutes we headed out for the open motorway, and no stops now until we reach the capital. One thing I did like was the fact that the seating position was high up and the coach had really big windows. Now, there's not a lot to see on this particular journey, but I guess it's still a bit better than the car in this respect. The route takes the M40 to London rather than the M6 and M1. Now, 2 hours into the journey we got as far as Leamington Spa. I only mention this because if I'd have stayed on the train from Wolverhampton, I'd have been in London Euston by now. We approached the outskirts of London and my back was starting to feel a bit sore at this point. The seats are okay, but they're quite narrow, and the seatbelt on mine was really stiff. Of course, you can't really move about much like you can on a train. I did get up to stretch my legs once by pretending I needed the toilet. This turned out to be a bit pointless because once I'd reached it at the rear of the coach, it was locked. Now obviously, because everyone's facing forward, no one knows if the person behind you has got up to use the toilet or not. This is a quite ridiculous situation, which could be easily rectified by having a toilet occupied indicator located at the front of the coach. Anyway, that aside, we plodded along through the streets of London, stopping briefly to let a few weary travellers off at Marble Arch. And we arrived at Victoria Coach Station at 17:12, which, to be fair, was a few minutes early, and it gave everyone the chance to practice their anti-distancing procession of gloom as we disembarked rather ungloriously at the side of the street. So I carefully negotiated the man-made trip hazard of a dozen garish suitcases, then made my way to the nearest park bench where I rested for a while before summing up my experience. That was Wolverhampton to London Victoria Coach Station with National Express. Was it worth it? Absolutely not. For all the reasons I've been alluding to during the course of the last few minutes. And to be fair, it was early, 9 minutes early, but even then it's getting on towards 4 hours on a coach. There's not a lot to see, there's certainly not a lot to do or get up and move about or anything like that. I'm not going to do it again. I will take the train, but it might suit some people, depending on the budget, but for me it's just not worth it. I'd rather pay the extra money. Okay, that's my opinion. Thanks for watching. If you disagree, then please let me know in the comments below. Really appreciate a subscribe, like, thumbs up, anything like that will be much appreciated. And in the meantime guys, till the next time, cheers for now.